Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our first day of the 13th annual MMVC 24. We started in 2011 and we're going strong. So our presenter is coming to us, I believe you're in the United States now, and that is Dr. Linh Phung. She's a dedicated language educator, writer, innovator, researcher, and English language specialist with the U.S. Department of State. And as the founder, she founded Eduling. She leads a cross-functional team of IT developers. She's kind of like, she's got a startup company, maybe you could think of it like that, a tech company, content developers and designers in the development of Eduling Speak, an app that develops real communication through 1,200 plus solo and duo tasks and games. As a researcher and writer, she has published multiple research articles, language learning books, bilingual picture books, and they're all available on her site, eduling.org. Now, what does the HL stand for?
HL is when I created all these picture books, then I called it HL. My name is Lynn, but my daughter's name is Hallie. So I just kind of
I see. That's nice. That's nice. Right. And you can also find her on LinkedIn. You just need to write her name and you'll find her, as well as on Facebook. And you can write her at info@eduling.org, and I can add that in the chat for you, but I'm sure you'll be sharing that as well. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Lynn, for being here. It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Nellie, and thank you everyone for being here. I think this is my third year presenting to this conference, and I appreciate the dedication as well as the time that Nellie has been spending on organizing events for us like this. She just introduced me in different roles, and sometimes I kind of struggle with describing who I am exactly because I do a lot of things in my professional work, including research and writing materials, having a startup of my own, but also working full-time for someone else, and also doing some work with the U.S. Department of State. Talking about this, I just want to share with you that I feel that now I'm transitioned more into the role of a technology developer, not doing the specific technical aspects of coding and everything else, although I'm really hands-on in whatever I create. But I feel like I can start to embrace my identity more as a technology developer. One reason is that I'm more connected with the community. I know other developers. I have participated in a competition for EdTech founders, and then from that competition, I became a judge, judging emerging technologies. So today, I actually present to you many of the works or the products or creations that I have had, but also some of my observations and experience with different technologies or different products in the market. So that's where I am coming from today. If you have attended my presentation, you may already know a little bit about my app, but if yes, I can share with you a lot of new developments. If not, I will talk about it a little bit in today's presentation. So just some quick questions to get to know each other a little bit more since I just jumped into the meeting. How are you feeling now? Are you as happy as seeing fireworks, or are you feeling relaxed and like flowers in the morning, or feeling a little bit blue? These are pictures that I took fireworks. That's nice. Yeah, the pictures that I took on the 4th of July here, also flowers in my garden, a dragonfly in one of the parks, local parks here, flowers, okay. Jasmine, it's actually called cherry winkle. That's I think, Periwinkle. It's a nice name. I just learned the name recently, but it's also very common in Vietnam. I just learned that it's very common in Vietnam, the flower. And this is the first year that I have them in my yard, just because my daughter picked them up when we went shopping. But I tell myself that I'm gonna have it again next year. Thank you so much for sharing. Beautiful. Thank you. Okay, so moving on, Nelly just commented on my office as well. This is where I'm talking to you from. I just updated my whole house also, so I completely rearranged my office. So in front of me is a window, and then this is where I'm sitting. It's a little bit more cluttered now, but just to share with you a little bit. Again, here I want to share some pictures because I wrote about this. I attended the TESOL convention in Florida in March, and it was probably the best convention so far for me because of all of the people that I met and all of the ideas that I was so excited about, especially Diane Larson Freeman's presentation on learning-centered approaches to education. So it was really impactful, but I wrote a little blog post about how languages and TESOL are the threads of my global connection. I'm sure that you come from different places today, and I just feel such an honor to be connected globally this way. So I just want to share a little bit of my sentiments in terms of working in our field, and Nicole was there too. Okay, so talking about technology, I created this image 2 years ago, and now I'm using it again because I have the opportunity, or I just had an opportunity to talk about technology from a really broad perspective. In terms, they gave me a really broad title of technology in language teaching. So it reminds me of this image that I created with the help of a designer also, but I also put a lot of tweak into it. After reading a comprehensive review of emerging technologies by Godwin Jones from the Journal of Technology for Language Learning. And I love these metaphors because we usually think of technology as a tool, and it is still a tool, right, for us to achieve different goals. But there are more roles that technology plays, and sometimes the other roles are more influential to students. So, for example, technology technology can be a window to a different world, right? Students, or like you and I, are connected to a computer screen, so it's a window to a different world. It can play the role of being a mirror because we can be more engaged in more reflection of our language use, for example. It is a playground because when we communicate or when we are a part of a global community, we don't just get the information, we participate in it, and we create language, and we contribute to the community also. And the metaphor that I really like is that it's like the porous classroom, because it extends learning beyond the classroom wall. And you can bring learning in, and you can extend learning beyond it. And you can also learn with the students. So I really love these metaphors, and I think that perhaps they are even more powerful than the idea that technology is just a tool. Yeah, periwinkle, Madagascar periwinkle. Okay, that's the name, and you can Google it. There are a lot of beautiful images there. Thank you. Okay, so thinking about technology with the different roles as illustrated by the different metaphors, and then connecting it with the principles of second language acquisition. At the end of the day, if we want to drive learning, then providing rich, meaningful, and comprehensible input is really important, right? And usually, learners need a large amount of input in order to develop their language. So this can be, and that's why perhaps you have seen that entertainment technologies like YouTube or other entertainment technologies like movies and books have done way more for language learning than any particular educational learning technology. I remember a conversation with a colleague who was curious about language language abilities among Vietnamese students. And then he asked me, can they access YouTube in Vietnam? And I said, yes. And I said, then I'm not worried. I'm sure that they can speak English or they know English. So my point is that when we think about technology, perhaps this is one of the biggest roles that students or teachers can access comprehensible, meaningful, and rich inputs or materials here. So in my last year, in my assignment as an English language specialist, I had the opportunity to present with Krashen. And you know that he is a strong advocate of comprehensible inputs and extensive reading, especially reading for pleasure. So we also made a point that this is really important. And so with the role of technology in providing input, I just have some really quick suggestions here in terms of whenever you encounter something interesting on the internet, authentic materials on the internet, save them because it can be a good starting point for developing activities for your students. And for me, one of my favorite approaches to developing materials is the text-based approach. And it is as simple as choosing something engaging, an engaging text as a starting point for developing materials. And throughout my years, I have used some of these sources. Of course, there's just so many, but I have used some of these sources, like the Times in plain English. So reading news is one thing. If students get into the habit of reading news every day, that can be a good source of language development. I have done a little bit more work with young kids just because I have a young daughter. So I found this open educational resource, the storyweaver.org here, with so many interesting picture stories from all around the world, right? So I can expose my daughter to diverse stories also. Of course, TED Talk is interesting. And I have taught a course or a course on personal narratives, and I have found some really interesting personal narratives written by teenagers in around 2020 or 2021. So I have been using them to teach students how to write personal narrative. And when I teach, I also publish my student stories through these really engaging, authentic texts. Then I managed to teach students to also write really wonderful and beautiful and interesting essays. So I have been publishing them. And when I publish them, then I use them again for my teaching. And this is an example of such an essay that I am sharing with you. And if you go to my website, you may see a lot of other examples also. Okay, so thank you for sharing some other resources here in the chat. I'm not, maybe let me stop here to ask you what you think about what I just shared, or whether you can share some of your favorite places to go to find engaging texts. Or what your students like to read or to listen to or to watch as a good source of language input. Watching the Olympics? Okay. Monsters game. When I send a message to my client, I use ChatGPT to translate. Okay, so I will mention those emerging technologies also in terms of using translation in communication these days. TED Talks, yes. Yeah, I have used TED Talks to teach a lot of different language skills also, listening as well as academic communication. Fresh ideas, yes. People have shared this Youglish.com to search for, when you search for a word, then you will see a lot of videos that use that word, and it can be good for pronunciation as well as vocabulary. Yeah, TED Talks. Early in my career, I also used TV shows like Glee or Friends to teach. Okay, so this is basically a pretty simple idea, but I think it is actually a powerful role that technology plays. So we should always be lookout for engaging text and authentic text to share with our students. Oh, TikTok. Okay. Yeah. National Geographic Learning on YouTube. I like those as well. They have pretty short videos on any topic. So I also love those videos. Okay, so the second role that I can see technology can facilitate and can help a lot is to promote authentic language use. And I developed this skill when I gave a presentation also through the US Department of State. When we think about authentic language use, then a question arises as to what does it mean to be authentic? So when you look at this scale from inauthentic to authentic, you can see that, for example, if I'm a teacher teaching students how to just pronounce a word, and I tell the students to repeat after me, so they listen and they repeat, they do produce language, but that's not really authentic language use, right? Or if I have a text and I ask them to fill in the blanks with a word or a phrase, that is language production, but it is not authentic language use. When I ask students to do a role play, but I provide sentences to them so that they can use the sentences and just put them in a dialogue, that is also language use, but it is not authentic either. When I ask students to describe a picture that they see so that I can identify it among the pictures that I have, then the language use is a little bit more authentic. There's an objective to achieve, and learners use their own linguistic resources and struggle with their own language. If learners have to go out and order food at restaurants, then of course that is authentic. So I would like us to think about how we can promote more authentic language use, because in the classroom, maybe there is not enough opportunities for students to do just that. How can we use technology for this then? So I'm gonna just share a lot of my work here. Currently, we are organizing virtual exchange on Discord. So let me ask you a question first. Do you know Discord? Yes, Henda knows it. Who else? I have just used it for a while. Yes. I actually love Discord. I heard that it started as a place for people who like playing games to talk with each other, because they do a pretty good job of suppressing the noise from the games. So the video gamers can interact with each other on Discord. And then during the pandemic, a lot of university clubs, the students actually go there and hang out. So they have transitioned their platform to be a place for people to talk, a place to just talk. But they have made it really fun, right? A lot of gamification elements, a lot of fun elements. And I knew this platform also a few years ago when a colleague wanted me to develop topics and tasks for people to do on the platform. So I started to do it, I think in 2021, organizing weekly conversations on Discord for 14 weeks. So a lot of dedication there. And I wrote an article about that, how Discord, the title of the article is simply connecting the world through Discord. So what I'm saying is that technology can be a great way to organize virtual exchange, although it usually takes a lot of time. So that is usually the challenge, but it is possible to do. Whenever students are connected and get to talk with each other, there's just so much learning and there's so much satisfaction and joy in the simple act of communicating with each other across languages and borders. So here, for example, I have a quote here from a participant. He's an elementary school teacher here in the US and a graduate student who wants to interact with English learners. And he said that it was just so fun. They lost track of time. They talked about so many things. So there's the potential here to connect learners to talk in pairs, or sorry, to talk on Discord. Now, Nelly just mentioned briefly that I have a language learning app. And when I started developing this app, that was the exact goal that I wanted to achieve. I wanted to connect learners to talk in pairs while performing a task together, a language learning task or a task of some kind together. I haven't talked so much about task-based language teaching today because I have a lot of other ideas to share. But basically, the goal of the app is to connect learners to talk in pairs to perform tasks. And from then on, I added a lot of solo tasks. I call them solo tasks that they can do with the app and now with AI. So this is the new development that I want to share with you also. And the goal is for authentic language use or communication. Okay, so how do I do this? Through the app. Now, basically, when learners create an account and they go to the app, they can create a room and then just wait for someone to join them, which is still rare to happen. Not many people are there at the same time. But they can also pin a profile so that they can connect with each other. And when they are connected, they can text each other. I also have translation there, but the translation is a little bit not as refined as you may see in other applications. And then they can text and they can call each other directly. And after that, when they are connected, then they can choose a game or a task to do together. So let me show you a task that I have on the app. This is something that you can do in the classroom as well. When I develop tasks, there are a few types that give me a lot of ideas. So information gap is one type, right? Information gap just means that people have different information and they need to share in order to solve the problem together or to exchange the information. So this is an example. If one of you want to do this with me, I would like to try it. So on the app, student A will see two pictures. Let's just say pictures A and B, and student B will do picture B and will see picture C and D. And we need to describe the pictures so that they can arrange them into the correct sequence. I think Nelly is sharing something. Okay, so who wants to do this task with me? Just I will play one role and you can play the other role. On the app, you cannot see each other's picture. So this is not really a real task in the sense that you already see everything. Does anybody want to talk and try this task with me?
Hold on, don't feel that nobody wants to, because I need to give them, sorry.
Okay. Or you
I
can
need
try
to-
it with me, Nelly. Or
Okay, I need to ask them to unmute and then they can try it.
yeah.
Okay, so any volunteers? I love the drawings and the
Yeah.
colors. They're so relaxing with the yellow, and I love that blue turquoise. So any volunteers? Okay, let's do it.
Okay. So Nelly, you're gonna be student B. I will be student A. Can describe my pictures first, and then we need to arrange them into the correct sequence.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so I have two pictures. In the first picture, or picture A, I have a teapot with some steam coming out. And then in picture B, I also have a teapot and with some tea being poured into the teapot. What do you have, Nelly?
Well, it looks like tea's being poured. I mean, there's tea pouring into my teacup, tea kettle. So I guess it's water. But you know, these images could be problematic because not everybody has. Are these typical? You know, is that I guess the
It's
teapot
fine.
could be.
Just describe in as much
Okay.
detail as possible because
Okay, and it's gray. The water, I guess it's boiled water. Even though I don't see the steam. Oh yeah, I do see steam coming out. So there's steam coming out of the water kettle or whatever it's called, and it's gray, and the water seems to be a kind of blue, and it's all coming out, even though
The
water is
goal,
not really
Nelly,
blue.
the goal is so that we can arrange these
Oh,
pictures
okay.
into a
All right.
sequence of how
So
to make
yeah,
tea.
okay.
Yeah.
So I think it's well, I don't know. And then the last one, the second one actually is the tea is going into the cup.
Yeah.
So okay, so what do you suggest? What would you
Okay,
put
so I
first?
think maybe the first step is to put the tea in the teapot. So picture B.
I would add the water first. So
Oh, okay,
let's
that's
argue
interesting.
about that.
Yes.
I
Okay.
would put the water because it's boiling water, right? I can see the steam coming. So I would put that first. But you don't have to do what I do. You can do it the other way. You can first put
Yeah.
the tea and
Yeah.
then pour the water over
Yeah.
that. So I
Yeah.
guess
And
there are
then
two ways
you
of doing it.
yeah, put the lid on so that the tea can brew, right? And I just learned the word steep is another word. When I did this with another teacher, she used that word. And the last step is D, you pour the tea out after it brewed it brews for enough time. But anyway, the point is for language use, right? To solve a problem. And even when they are confused, and if there is something intriguing, oh, it's funny that the water is blue. That kind of creates a reason to talk. So I don't think it is so much about right and wrong, but I think you bring up an interesting point that usually Vietnamese people drink a lot of tea. We put the tea first and hot water next. We don't put the boiling water in the teapot and then the tea. Maybe the point is to pour the water on it. But anyway, this is just an illustration or an example of a task that I have on the app to really encourage students to talk and to solve a problem together.
Yeah, but I think there's a good point that Henda's making. Maybe this is a cultural thing or a tradition in the family, where you first boil the water, which is probably C, right? That would fit with C, where I'm boiling the water.
Yeah.
And then, but actually, I would do B. I mean, B is my way. I
Yeah,
just
me too. I do B first. I put the tea in
So how do
first.
you do it? This could be a conversation. How do they do
Yeah.
it in your household? How does your mother, because this is for young learners, or
Yeah,
maybe not. How
that's
does
what
your
I like.
mother?
Yeah. That's what I like about tasks like this. It just gives people reasons to talk about, even when there's maybe something confusing about the task material because of the cultural differences, but then it gives us a reason to talk about making tea. So thank you for doing it with me. Let me give you another example of a task on the app. And with this, I'm gonna share a 1-minute video, so it's very short. This is a crossword puzzle, but whenever I do it, I also make it interactive by giving one student the horizontal words and giving another student the vertical words. So they have to talk with each other to solve the problem together. And this is how it looks like on the app. So let me see if I can play it. I thought I can just play it right here. Okay, I can play it on YouTube. This video shows how you can connect with another person in the Eduling Speak app. And after you are connected, you can choose a course and then look for a task to complete together. In this case, I'm inviting my partner to play a crossword puzzle together. First, we see a list of words that we can study before the crossword. And then here you can see that I have the horizontal words and my partner has the vertical words. So she has to explain her words to me so that I can complete the puzzle. And I have to do the same. I explain the words to her so that she can complete her puzzle. By doing this, we practice speaking as well as vocabulary. And this is a more active way of practicing vocabulary rather than just doing the crossword puzzle on your own. And now you can see that I have finished my puzzle and I click next and complete the task. Okay. I'm gonna go back to where is the last place? Okay, so that is the idea in terms of promoting authentic language use with a task like this. I actually recently I did it with a student and the topic was not difficult. It is about the playground, but it can be difficult in some way. So the student lives in Vietnam, I live in the US, and we were talking about the word pavilion. She was trying to explain the word pavilion to me. But sorry, I think the YouTube video. What is it? Sorry,
It's the
just
next
play,
video
so I have to turn
on
it off.
YouTube. That's what it does. If you allow it to let videos play, they'll just keep playing the next.
Okay, now you know what kind of music I listen to. And it just plays automatically after the YouTube video. Okay, so I was just giving an example of the crossword, and I was saying that we learned something interesting about the word pavilion, because in Vietnam, pavilion is used more in the market for people to sell things under. And in the US, you may see that in the playground or in a park, so that you can reserve and have a party. So we learn a cultural piece by talking with each other. Okay, so I'm gonna move on and give you more examples. And this is a new development, right? It just happened a year ago when ChatGPT came out, and now with the explosion of AI. And now there's the possibility of practicing speaking with AI. To me, there's so much potential, but it's never enough. I think talking with another person is still the thing that students are most interested in, and at the end of the day, they also need to do it if they want to move to be able to communicate internationally. But with this opportunity, I also incorporated this into my app. And the AI conversation is multimodal in the sense that you can talk to it and you can see the text. So right now we have both audio and text, and you can also get instant feedback. if you want to practice for an exam, like the IELTS exam, after you say a sentence, the AI can give you immediate feedback on maybe what you should say instead, or what how to make the sentence more complex. So with the structure or with the platform that we already have, we can configure whatever task that I feel may be interesting or beneficial for the students in order to do it with the AI. Let me give you an example here. And usually I am interested in the language samples, right? And this is maybe an area of research that we can do, or I'm interested in doing, is to really see the language production from students when they interact with the AI. In this case, you can see a conversation between me and the AI. So I'm a proficient speaker. My language is somewhat clean and clear, so there's not so much struggle with language here. But it may be way more interesting to see this between a learner and the AI. So this is a decision-making task. I have to talk with the AI to make a decision of choosing three dishes for a party. No, sorry, three activities to organize at my university. You can see that the AI and I were making a decision, and we need to use language to do this. So that's an example with a decision-making task with AI in my app. And then this may look interesting to you. I have also created quite a few games so that learners or users can play with the AI. And this is a really simple guessing game that you need to ask yes/no questions in order to guess what secret animal it is that the AI is holding or is thinking about, although it cannot think. So this is a conversation between my daughter and the AI. And you can see that first she thought that it was a chameleon. So she said, "Is it a chameleon?" And then the AI says, "No, it's not a chameleon. This animal is known for its unique way of moving." And then in the next turn, she asked, "Does it slither?" Actually, she didn't know this, but I gave her a suggestion. So my daughter is 5 years old, and in my mind, this is a sign or an opportunity for language learning, because maybe she hasn't mastered the word slither. But with me supporting her and with it being embedded in a meaningful conversation, then perhaps the next time she will remember it. And then it answers that yes, it does slither. And this animal is often found in warm climates. So my daughter successfully guessed that it is a snake. But she is really, really silly. So she keeps talking and she's like, "Thank you, I love you." And she's also even say silly things like, "I wish you silly puppy day." And then the AI also responds. So this is something that I'm also excited about in terms of creating language learning opportunities with an AI like this. Let me see. Yeah, thank you. And if you have ideas, this is my pitch to you also. If you have ideas and you want to create with me, at the end of the presentation, I'll share with you opportunities to collaborate. And I love creating these things.
I
Okay.
love the fact that it's audio, that they don't, I mean, these are young kids, that they don't have to write, they can actually say anything, you know, if they're very young and they like to say different things, have this freedom and then get response.
Yeah.
Because an AI, you know, an AI tool such as this one will always reply.
Yeah.
Where a person might say, "Oh, that's silly, don't say things like that," or, you know, comment in a negative way. But AI tools never do. They're always polite. They always reply. They always have something to say. So I think this is very encouraging for learners.
Yeah, yeah, I do see it as an opportunity. And I even see a slight or some learning happening, right? My hope is that maybe she has learned a new word. But this is, I'm just kind of experimenting with her, because the app is not exactly for learners like her, because I'm targeting older learners, but I'm kind of experimenting also. And the
But she's a
AI,
native speaker. She's a
yeah,
native speaker of
yeah.
English.
Yeah, the AI echoes her silliness, but still polite. I think
Exactly.
because this is intentional, that these AI systems are created so that they don't express too many feelings, so that we know that it's still just a machine. And it is, we can configure it to be polite and not use bad language. So that is possible to configure. I like that it just kind of echoes her silliness as well, because when my daughter say, wish you a silly poopy day, it says, have a fun and silly day. It's kind of very interesting.
Hi, I unmuted. I don't know if I can have 2 minutes to talk with you, Lynn.
Yeah, sure.
Can I undo? Let's see. Can I get my video going up, Nellie? Is that okay?
Not right now. Can you do
Okay.
that later on Facebook? That would be great. You can
Well,
connect with me.
I just rather have a convo then, because I got to go in a few minutes and give somebody a ride.
Okay, so I think that would be fine on Facebook because we don't want to stop the
Yeah. So
Okay.
feel free to email
Thank
me
you.
or connect with me on Facebook
No.
or LinkedIn. I'm happy to share the contact information.
Yeah, well, we could communicate there too, but the things that I wanted to talk to you about are authentic learning.
Mm,
And you talk about tasks. And
mhm,
as a teacher, I have always, cringed at that word, task. Like, you got to do this, you got to do that.
mm,
The adjective that comes before it is onerous. And
mm,
like I said before in the chat text, was that we need to get student-centered learning.
mhm,
Now, what you're interested in Vietnam, I mean, I know you say you're in the US now, but obviously English is your second language. I
mhm,
don't speak a word of Vietnamese. You might as well be speaking Vietnamese, Japanese. I wouldn't get it. But what I'm looking forward to is when AI develops to the point where students all around the world can talk to each other in their primary language,
mm,
have it automatically translated into their secondary that
mhm,
you are now communicating with, and then go back and forth, record it, come back, go for it, and look for real authentic tasks, project-based learning, problem-based learning.
mhm,
Those are the things that we should be really focusing on. Unfortunately, here in the United States, we are so focused on test taking and
mhm,
raising test scores. Again, that takes away from the students. They end up graduating high school without an idea about what they want to learn for, or what they want to do for a living. What do you want
mhm.
to learn about? What
Yeah.
are your needs? How can we help each other? Those are the kinds of things I'd like to see happen.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I'm happy to talk more because I'm familiar with all those terms. And I agree, tasks often, whenever you think of the word task, it's like cleaning the house or washing dishes. But task, here I use it in the technical term. I didn't explain this so much today, but there is this field of task-based language teaching that we can go really, really deeply into. It is truly connected to project-based learning and problem-based learning as well. So I completely agree that, and this is also learning centered. I'm talking from learning perspectives. We do things to drive learning, right? So that's why I talk about comprehensible input, opportunities for authentic output, because those through second language acquisition research have been shown to be really, really important for learning. The question of how do we do this is a big question for sure. And this is my attempt to bring task-based language teaching or learning to a wider audience. But I'm happy to talk more for sure. Okay, so moving on. To me, this seems like also a trend, and I think maybe Nelly, you would agree. I know that you have a lot of online courses. Is that right? So micro teaching and micro learning. Someone asked whether these screens are taken from my phone. Yes, these are all screenshots of the app. Everything looks exactly like what I'm showing you. Where I'm going with this is that originally, I started to develop a lot of tasks on the app, just kind of like a library of tasks. I even called the app like a Netflix of tasks. But then I also organize them now. I have organized them into courses. And these courses are really micro, in the sense that learners can just open the app and maybe do a task for 5 minutes or maybe even less. And right now, I am even tackling really big topics with this micro learning trend. Because it's convenient. It can be any time, but it is cumulative, right? If every day you do a little bit, then it is cumulative. I think we also live in a world of a skill-based, a new environment that really prioritizes skills. So that's why I am now moving toward developing specialized courses, not only for English learners, but also for other populations or other audiences. I'm in the process of putting a research writing course on the app. Now, it is called Conducting and Reporting Research. It walks students through the process of completing a research project from the beginning to the end, from planning research to reporting it, but through an app. So this is kind of an interesting challenge. And if you have ideas and you would like to collaborate to create a course together, I'm happy to collaborate and host the courses that you have. So I will just kind of play the role of supporting you and becoming a platform that hosts these courses. Yeah, thank you, Jeff. Okay, other examples of AI integration. As I mentioned, I participated in an EdTech competition, and later on I became a judge myself. And I have come across a few language learning apps. Some of them were in the competition, including mine. And this one, Elsa, is way more popular. It has been in the market for a while. But I just want to go through this list, and I'm sure there are other AI features because we are still developing them. And I'm advising other apps also. So you already see translation. Jeff mentioned it. And at the end of my presentation, I also have some opinions or people's perspectives on that. But you can see a lot of these features that have been integrated into new technologies for language learning. Translation, speech to text, text to speech, feedback to learner, immediate feedback, generating content. There's already a very popular app that has attracted so much investment by using AI to generate personalized content. Chatbot is the one that I just showed you for my app, right? Enhancing social interaction. Maybe this is something that Jeff mentioned briefly. If you and I are communicating from different languages, then our interactions can also be enhanced through all these AI features. We can assess a learner's language level through AI and other AI features as well. And you can see that my app is integrating a lot of these features and other apps here as well. Examples, on my app, there's also automated feedback on learners' language. So when AI first came out, I didn't have the capacity to build a chatbot right away, but I thought that the first application that I could implement was feedback on learners' language, because my app was designed to elicit authentic language samples. Right? And from the authentic language samples, then the AI could give feedback. So we developed a feature that transcribes the learner's recording into a transcript and then generate the feedback on the transcript. Vocabulary analysis is not AI-based, but we also have that feature. So for example, if a learner produces, or this is my example, I think, if I have this language sample, then I can see the transcript, and then I can see some feedback on content and organization, and then on grammar, vocabulary. I don't have pronunciation yet, but it can be coming. The AI can also give feedback in terms of correcting the language. And then it can also give suggestions of paraphrases that the learners can use. This is the vocabulary analysis. We analyze whether the words belong to the academic word list or whether the words are common or uncommon, just so the learners know their vocabulary. And then the AI also gives a revised transcript so that if the learners want to record it again, they can perhaps use this as suggestions and a model. Now, my system goes a little bit beyond this, that AI can give feedback. So what can we teachers do? In my view, teachers can still play a role of facilitating the engagement with the feedback, right? The feedback is not what drives learning. The engagement with the feedback is what is more important. Then even when I teach in the classroom, after I give students feedback, I always make sure that they read it and they engage with the feedback. So with my system, teachers can have access to all of the information and then they can give extra feedback like this. So this is me giving some extra feedback to this learner. Is the feedback adjusted to the level? Right now, it's not really. Some of the feedback is really generic. But the suggestions is good. I can see that the AI still has the tendency to overcomplicate things. But I think the more, I think it can be fine-tuned later on. Okay, so this is my point with the feedback, that AI can generate the feedback, but teachers play an important role in facilitating the engagement and reflection based on the feedback, right? And I actually also generated this graphic based on a research article that I read. My dissertation was actually on engagement in performing tasks. So I am interested in the concept of engagement. When you give feedback to learners, they may have different levels of engagement with it. Some may be really active, some may resist your feedback, some may just think about it, right? Some may just stand by. So it is kind of really important to understand students' engagement with your feedback and think about ways to facilitate better engagement. Now, AI also has the potential of enhancing social interaction, or even to the point of mediating it completely, right? You can talk in your first language, I talk in my first language, and then we don't even know each other's language and we can still communicate. This app that I am advising is also interested in connecting learners to talk with each other, but it has built in a lot of features that allow even a beginner like me in Spanish to be able to start communicating with someone in Spanish, because it helps me with translating, it helps me with building a sentence, right? So I see the potential there. I see that there are things that still need to be fine-tuned, but the potential here is that the AI can actually mediate the interaction and provide opportunities for learning. I don't know, the founder here said that he may have some free pilots in the fall. So if you're interested, just let me know. I'm not sure, I have to check with him. It's just very, very interesting. Okay, I think I don't have much time left, so I'm gonna.
No, you don't.
Yeah. Okay, so potential AIs, maybe I don't have to go through this so much, but I already made a few points in terms of teachers' roles, right? Maybe we teach students strategies. We can also refocus on the process of learning and teaching. We can focus on creating learning communities for students. And then here, when I asked a lot of people in technology, or a few people in technology, they have different opinions about the role of AI, whether AI will make language learning obsolete. So one person is worried that that may be happening, that it will change the need to learn a language and somehow lead to the destruction in some way of language learning as the core focus of educational environment if technology has rendered it obsolete. Another person says that maybe it actually opens a window into a different culture, and then you will be even more interested in learning about that culture and that language. Will from Pangea Chat says that language learning has the affective aspect and the emotional aspect that we still want to learn it if it is near and dear to our hearts. So you can see that there are different opinions here, and it has brought me to my final comment here in the sense in the use of technology that we learn new tools, but we need to keep important principles at the center. Completely agree about learner-centered and even learning-centered. I like that term now also. We can create a porous classroom to extend learning beyond the classroom, bring the learning in, right? So the virtual exchange and all those things. Learn with students. In AI, perhaps we have to learn so much, and we learn with students. And lifelong learning and learning to learn are just evident and necessary word in this evolving world. Certainly true for all of us. So thank you so much.